In music, one thing that I've realized, especially being in hip hop, it's crazy that hip hop is the one sport where you can go from loving an artist. And I feel like, first off, Drake, Kendrick, and Cole, the big three, that conversation was that conversation because a lot of the fan bases did intertwine. Yes, there was the outside that maybe just loved what Kendrick Lamar provided as far as music goes, and maybe didn't like what Cole brought and what Drake brought. So they were the Kendrick fans, but they could understand and respect and appreciate in certain ways why those other two are in the conversation, and vice versa with Drake and vice versa with J. Cole. Now, I feel like more than ever, every fan base has these very extreme ideas of their favorite artists, but also the haters have a very extreme case of thoughts about an artist. Let's start with Kendrick. Kendrick Lamar is like the deepest person to them. Kendrick Lamar can do no wrong. Kendrick Lamar can come out every 5 years if he'd like. Kendrick Lamar is that man to them. And I get it. And, especially with him as being able to do the numbers game and outnumber Drake this year specifically, I know for a lot of people that are Kendrick fans, that has been a big thing because, again, one of the big arguments for Drake for a long time was that the numbers that he was able to acquire. And I mean, again, he is still getting those numbers, I feel like, from a lot of his back catalog, but still, gotta give credit where credit is due. This isn't necessarily supposed to be about it. But then you get the Kendrick haters that talk about how his music is hard to consume. When they talk about, again, the numbers, that's something that they still try to use to this day, which I think is so crazy, or the fact that he doesn't come out enough. And I think it's crazy that those fans, a lot of those fans were probably fans that watched the video and let that video influence their whole thought process because the video was an hour and a half long and it was leaning towards one artist or another artist. It don't make sense on either side with Kendrick. Kendrick Lamar is the right obvious. Kendrick Lamar is a very conceptual artist. He has a lot in his arsenal, his depth within his music, the stories that he tells, right? Or the elements that he brings in to tell a story or to have a therapy session, for example. Those things are very, very important to becoming and being the artist that Kendrick Lamar is. The reason why he was in this conversation. Again, the big three, believe it or not, the reason the big three was the big three is because a lot of the fan base within hip hop, we're just talking about hip hop specifically. I know that they transcend hip hop in a lot of ways and they have built fan bases outside of hip hop in their own ways, but within hip hop, it was intersecting. It was, yes, you got the three circles and their fan bases, but within those three circles, you had that fan base that appreciated all three of the big three. And again, it's just weird now because it feels like that has separated more than ever. Like, for example, talking about Cole. Cole fans, man, yes, Cole does wrong sometimes. Yes, Cole sometimes gets it wrong with it, the way that he makes decisions. I think the fact that he left the beef was the right decision, but the way in which he left that beef was not the right decision. I believe that him continuing to rap the way he does is the right decision, but not necessarily giving himself enough time to let that narrative go because I feel like he got wrapped up in that beef and she is a part of a beef that he wasn't even really a part of. If we're being honest, even with the diss track, that's not what I'm allowing myself personally to let J. Cole's legacy be is a beef that he decided not to get into because he didn't want to be second fiddle on either side. I go on Kendrick's side, people are going to think it's me and Kendrick versus Drake, and I'm choosing sides. That don't make no sense. I stand on my own. I'm my own man. If the beef comes up again, me and Kendrick got to go bar for bar as brothers, not as enemies, then that's what will happen. But otherwise, I am me, and I'm going to continue to be me at the end of the day. But the people that do talk about what Kendrick has or what Cole did or like to do, they're not wrong in what they say. I think there's just an extreme case in what they say. It's a lot less with Cole, obviously, because he left. I just think trying to take away his whole catalog and the greatness of his feature run, for example, that's crazy. And we can't be that just because we don't, not me and me, but the people that believe that don't like the way that he decided to go about a beef that honest wasn't going to be for him anyway. He's sitting there trying to rap his rap while these two are personal. Again, it wasn't just a bar for bar. Let's see, he's the best bar for bar. There was a lot more. There was a lot more elements, and I've said this already, but I need it. Why would Cole sit behind Drake and pew pew at the same time when he has shown clearly that he is a great lyricist alone that doesn't need help or doesn't need to go and give help, that he can do things and show that he can be in a rapper or an artist, a hip hop artist, a lyricist, because he is a great lyricist. At the end of the day, you could try to slice it up all the ways you want to. He is still a great artist. At the end of the day, Cole is, and again, the extreme fan basics. There's the separation. Cole fans feel like they got to defend with their whole hearts. No, we know what Cole is, and Cole has been that. So let's just let Cole be that. And then obviously, last but certainly not least, Drake. Drake fans cannot fathom that like 50 million people do not like Drake, and they just cannot understand why. They cannot understand how there is a whole industry that essentially is like, no, we're good. You can go way over there because we do not want you over here. And that it makes all the sense in the world, but for some reason, Drake fans cannot accept that. And they continue to try to use everything or to try to prop their guy up. Like, for example, the fact that his numbers didn't come back as usual Drake numbers, but they still came back relatively decent for the T&E collab that he did. It's still, at the end of the day, Drake's gonna still get numbers. That was never the issue here. I don't know why people try to make it seem like he's about to go to 30,000 and then for people going to go listen to his stuff, but that's not happening for somebody that is thinking him. Again, yes, that beef transcended a lot, but Drake also transcended a lot within hip hop, or not within hip hop, but it was in music. Just he's done so much music, and yes, it's cook cutter music for the most part, but it is still something that he was able to fit in those places, and he still has those places on lock in a lot of ways. That's my, and you just Drake haters that act like Drake's never made a good song. Like, it's okay to admit that you were tired of hearing Drake, but to make it seem like you just never listen, wait on this fall of you're lying to yourself. The acting like there wasn't songs that weren't going to make the top 100. That's crazy. Again, I guess Kendrick has taken over 2024 going into 2025 and will probably continue to do what he's been doing. But at the end of the day, all three of these artists are great. All three of these artists have shown to be able to transcend and be in a conversation that at the end of the day is a conversation out of the hundreds of thousands, damn near probably millions of artists just in general that make music all the time. They are the ones that were able to get to this place where we even talk about them like this, where we are able to have these conversations. And again, remember, there was a point that the circle of people that listen to all three of these artists was a lot bigger than it is now, or that is pretended to be, because I do still kind of feel like it's the having to choose a side over actually not liking these artists. If that makes sense, that really takes away from actually having those conversations. Really comes who's the best lyricist or who you have in the big three. And it's the same conversation I've had about basketball. If you have Jordan, if you have LeBron, you always have to take away from the epic. It doesn't make sense, but it makes all the sense in the world to us. Anyways, y'all stay blessed. Have a good day. I'm out.